Hello there and welcome to Outer Worlds, where today we're going to be reviewing the Jurassic World Hammond Collection Velociraptor. So straight up, if you are new to the channel, and you probably are since this is my first full video, then please hit the like button if you like what you see and consider subscribing for more reviews in future. With that essential done, on to the Hammond Collection. This is Mattel's 1/18th scale collect-focused toy line for all things Jurassic that launched earlier this year, promising fantastic sculpts, movie-accurate paint apps, and next-level articulation. The first wave consisted of Baryonyx, Parasaurolophus, Dr. Ian Malcolm, who I will be reviewing soon, and this clever girl here, the Jurassic Park Velociraptor. Starting with a look at the box, and I actually really like this presentation style. You've got the Hammond Collection logo down here, we've got the Velociraptor's name over here. Up here is the $16.99 price sticker. Now I got this from a toy show in Birmingham back in October, and the stall I got it from was the Dino Den, aka Rexy's Reviews here on YouTube. Then on top we've got the embossed T-Rex fossil logo. I really dig how this looks. On one side of the pack we've got the Hammond Collection logo again. On the back of the box we've got this awesome Raptor toy pick. Down here we've got a film still, and that still is from the original Jurassic Park, which we have the logo for. Then finally on the other side of the box we've got this really great piece of toy photography. Anyway, enough of the box, let's get this Velociraptor open. Attaching the tail is a one and done action. Push it in until it clicks, and then it's not coming back out. And here we have a Hammond Collection Velociraptor out of the packaging. My first impressions are that this toy has a really lean and lethal figure. It immediately evokes how terrifying these things were in the first film, and in a neutral pose like this it works really well. That said, straight away you can see how big the feet are. I assume this was for the physics of keeping it standing upright, but whatever the reason, they are noticeably large. Anyway, let's start with the head sculpt. The dappled reptilian skin, laser-focused nostrils, and cold, predatory eyes all work to sell the appearance. That carries through to the Velociraptor's paint apps. Mattel did a fantastic job of matching with different shades of green running over her body, and the glossy black claws, which we'll take a closer look at shortly, look brilliant. One thing Mattel does consistently well is the texture of their dinosaur sculpts. You can see that again here. From the texture of her legs to the lines on her tail through to the detail of her ribs, they have put the work in. And here is that closer look at her claws, curving out from the ends of her lined, webbed fingers. Then on her foot we can see more detail, all leading up to that infamous sickle-shaped claw. The sculpted detail continues on her underside, although the lighter paint apps get a little more sketchy, at least on my version. Then of course we have the Jurassic logo stamped on the underside of her right foot. Going back to her head then, let's take a look at the jaw articulation. It's only the lower jaw that moves, you can't move the top of her head to increase her bite. On first impressions, I didn't love how the jaw works or looks, but as I've played around with it more, it has grown on me. That said, I still think she looks best either with her mouth closed or only slightly open in a terrifying toothy grin. And I would say that brings us quite nicely onto looking at the articulation. You've just seen the jaw, but here it is again, it opens this wide. There's a ball joint at the base of the skull that goes up and down so far and can only tilt a little, but then it's got a good swivel range. There's similar articulation at the base of the neck. The up and down movement is really quite disappointing, the tilt is non-existent, but again you do get a full swivel. Moving down you've got a ball and socket joint at the shoulder which works really well. There's the same at the elbow, full extension and swivel. There's a slight outward movement at the hip and a really good swivel. Then a ball socket joint at the knee with good range. There's no articulation of the middle ankle, but then the lower ankle has a great front and back range, good tilt, and a great swivel. Let's just check, and yep, the tail is still secure. This can swivel freely, you can move up, down, left, and right. And then most of it, from the base to almost the tip, is made of a bendy wire that holds whatever shape you push it into. I wouldn't say the articulation is fully what I was hoping for, but then she moves better than any Velociraptor toy that I've had before. Let's move on to some comparison shots. First up, here we have a Hammond Collection Velociraptor next to a Jurassic World Legacy Collection Velociraptor. From scale to articulation to paint apps, it's fair to say the Hammond Collection Raptor completely blows the Legacy Collection version away, and that's even despite the Legacy Collection version having the awesome aggressive typewriting action feature. Now to compare the Hammond Collection Velociraptor alongside some other 1/18 scale action figures, here she is next to the Star Wars Vintage Collection VC-186 Boba Fett. Now, who do you think will win out of the fight between these two? Obviously, if we're talking the original trilogy, then Fett would walk it, but after recent developments, I wouldn't want to say. Bringing things back to the Jurassic, here is the Velociraptor alongside the Legacy Collection's Tim Murphy. Looking at the size difference between the two here hammers home how terrifying the kitchen scene would have been in real life. Tim barely looks like a snack next to the Velociraptor. Finally, and if you have a set that Tim's from and you know where this is going, we have a Hammond Collection Velociraptor next to the Legacy Collection Tyrannosaurus Rex. I'm not 100% sure if it's that the T-Rex is a touch too small, or if the Raptor is a touch too big, or if it's a little bit of both, but the size does seem slightly off. Either way, the two of them do still go together okay. So, my final thoughts on the Hammond Collection Velociraptor pretty much boil down to, I like it, but it's flawed. If you get her into a good pose, she looks fantastic. The sculpt is brilliant and the paint apps are excellent for a toy at this price point. However, there are a few drawbacks that are just too big to ignore. The mouth detail leaves quite a bit to be desired, and her feet are a bit big, but the biggest kicker of all is that despite the articulation she does have, she still feels pretty limited when you try and pose her up. I feel bad complaining about it in a way because this is still the single most fun Velociraptor toy I've ever had. But I'd just love to one day get a Raptor that can get really low to the ground and prowl, you know what I mean? Hopefully the Hammond Collection runs long enough that we eventually get a V2. That is all I've got for you today. If you're new here, and you probably are, and you've made it this far, then please hit that subscribe button. If you've got the Hammond Collection Velociraptor, then drop a comment below and let me know what you think of it. Otherwise, take care in those outer worlds, and I will see you next time.